From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the North East, the Red, the Toon and the Cat.
Oh, this is going to be interesting.
Monday.
This is going to be interesting. The Monday
Morning,
after
everyone.
that weekend
Morning.
before. Morning. How are we?
Very good.
What a weekend, eh? What a weekend. Oh, me.
I'm feeling
like
chipper.
I've not had
For
a
me.
break from you.
I had fun, though. I had fun doing both. It was good, actually, to sit down and watch the derby, lads. It was, I quite enjoyed it. It was
I'm glad you
not
did.
something I've ever experienced before, and not something I would normally watch as well without being part of the breakfast show. So, no, it was good. It was good. I was glad I got to sit down and watch it, but there will be one happy man, one not so happy man this morning. Do we want to reveal the secret of who that might be?
What, I mean, come on, Mystic Meg. It doesn't take a genius to work that out.
I'm just gutted that the technology let us down, really, at the Stadium of Light, because I would have loved to have taken part. I sent
Well, it wasn't the only thing, Steve.
I sent a pre-match message, of course, and just as soon as I got in the ground, it was just impossible to send anything. Tried to ring Radio Dad on numerous occasions to at least get on live.
We tried to
Didn't
call you
work.
live on air. Just
We did
couldn't
hear
get an
you,
answer. Yeah.
Didn't work, so unfortunately technology let us down, but it was a great day for us. Had a great trip to Wearside, and yeah, just I guess exercised a few ghosts of derbies past, because recent derby events haven't been great for Newcastle down at the Stadium of Light, but for us, you know, it was men against boys. I think it was quite clear there was a gulf in class. 8 years away though for Sunderland. You know, they have dropped down as well into the first division in that time. I think it was probably a reality check. I think impressive post-match interview by Beale, who just laid it all out for the fans, and I don't think Sunderland fans can walk away from that game. You know, yes, it's hard to lose a derby, but I think, you know, they've got to focus now on trying to get back into the Premier League. But I think it's fairly obvious that, like most teams that come up from the Championship now, needs to be a hell of a lot of investment if you're going to survive in the Premier League. But no, good day for us. Not want to gloat too much on this. I've got to be perfectly honest.
I would.
You know, nah, but it's not worth it. It's not worth it.
I would have organised fireworks.
You would have. Yeah, I think at this moment in time, both teams know their place, and that's it. I can't take a massive amount of pride out of it, but I'm delighted that we won. Yeah, 100%.
What do you mean both teams know their place? All three now know their place. You know, Boro are without doubt the top dogs of the North East, because we beat
Correct.
Sunderland 4-0
Exactly.
at the Stadium of Light, and Newcastle could only manage Newcastle could only manage
3-0.
three. Come on.
I think it shows the insecurity of Middlesbrough fans when you've got to hang on the fact.
Absolutely. And there was a few comments in the watch along as well, which obviously, you know, it was my first time on Rise channel, so obviously I was going to get a little bit of stick from the Smoggies, wasn't I? That was to be expected. But they just ache to be relevant. They ache to be as big as a derby as what that is, and it's unfortunate for them, you know. But wait now, in all seriousness, despite the result, we had a good laugh on Saturday. I don't know whether we can call it the North East Footy Breakfast. It was kind of the North East Weekend Brunch, I think, is a probably or liquid brunch in my case, I suppose.
There's an idea. Live from the bar. That's it.
That's a dangerous precedent to set.
Steve, you should have seen him. He looked like John Motson standing on top of a makeshift commentary box on the roof of the main stand of Yeovil Town. That's what it looked like.
Fantastic.
Do you know what? I thoroughly enjoyed it. As like I said, I mean, obviously the result. We'll get round to that as well. Give Steve his chance to go in depth on what he thought, and I've got a few notes prepared as well. We of course will talk about Boro Villa as well, because I don't think Boro disgraced themselves in any way, shape or form.
Heck no.
No.
But yeah, the whole
Deflected
experience
goal.
of yeah. There's not a lot you could do about it in essence. But yeah, I mean, the whole occasion of actually doing that and doing it live and in the bar and kind of having a few Mackems around us and one or two Geordies as well. It was a good experience for me, certainly, of reporting live and giving my sort of verdict and for all well
in the heat of the
20
moment
seconds ahead of what Rye was. Yeah, and do you know what? I did well. I think I did one swear word under my breath that didn't quite get out on air. So I think that was a really good lesson for me.
Well done, that man.
My finger was poised throughout. It really was. It was just hovering on the button.
Not as poised as it would have been if I'd been on.
No, I just would have been muted, mate.
Oh, we of course we brought that very show, didn't we? Live from my front room. So
Yes,
yeah,
it was.
yeah. So
Well
that's
done.
great. I don't have to get out of bed until this show is moving live from Dave's bedroom. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's where we're going to be very shortly. Then I
What
can
a vision.
stay in bed on a
Awful
morning.
thought.
I can
You
stay in bed.
stay in bed and push buttons.
Sitting there with his
Wowee, I like that.
Willy Winky's hat on and
With
his
that
long
sleeping
johns.
cap on, absolutely. I'll put my monocle in, just so I can see the controls. The monocle will be worn, just as the smoking jacket is. I dress myself in the
I
smoking
say,
jacket.
Smithers, open my curtains.
Yes, indeed. And I shall tug on the old bell to bring the servants up.
Oh, excuse me.
Hang on.
Inappropriate use of the word tug, Dave.
I think I might take his age off.
Oh, we do like a double entendre on this show. We do. Yes.
We do indeed. Yeah. Glad you're hovering over that button again. Well, before
I
we get
do
down
like
to it,
it.
should we have some before we start throwing the brown stuff around at each other, should we get some headlines out of the way with first? Because
Okay.
I've got the dubious honour of having the show today, which I don't know whether that's just been planned for my misery or
Sadistic.
not. It
Worked
is.
out well.
Okay.
It worked
I
out
was
well.
trying to get out of it last night, as you know.
And just because we all feel a little bit of sympathy, we'll let you go first.
Oh, great.
Mackem's and Proud. Black Cats News.
Good morning, Sunderland fans. Of course, it's not a good morning after the weekend. A tough one to take. But TalkSport's Jamie O'Hara has criticised Newcastle United's celebration after defeating Sunderland in the FA Cup at the weekend. I've got to have a bit of a moan-up, though. Your mob after the game, he said on TalkSport after the game. I understand the fans celebrating because you are rivals, but the players and the fans and staff all going over like you'd won the FA Cup and doing a team photo in front of the fans. You know, I just thought, come on, mate, you've just beat Sunderland in the Championship and you're one of the richest clubs in the world. I thought it was a bit disrespectful. Well said, Jamie, well said. Both head coach Michael Beale and captain Luke O'Nien called for Sunderland to learn from their 3-0 defeat against Newcastle, admitting there was a gap in quality between the two sides. In truth, it should have been expected given Newcastle's starting 11 cost in excess of £250 million, while Sunderland's side was assembled for less than £10 million. Still, the manner of losing the first Weir Time derby for nearly 8 years in front of a highly charged stadium-like crowd left its sting on Weir's side. Beale went on to bemoan the lack of depth and experience on the bench, highlighted by the fact he only made one substitution in the entire game, while skipper O'Nien was clearly disappointed in the performance and perhaps felt Sunderland could have offered more of a challenge. And finally, away from derby talk, there are supposedly a number of clubs looking at the deal for Bournemouth striker Kiefer Moore this month, but Sunderland apparently are winning the race to land the Welshman's signature. Moore, 31, has struggled for game time at the Vitality Stadium this season following the appointment of Andoni Iraola as manager. That's how you pronounce Spanish, right? Indeed, the Sun's Alan Nixon reports that Sunderland and Michael Beale are leading the charge to sign Moore before the end of January, ahead of the likes of Daniel Farke's side, Leeds United, and more second-tier clubs. There are your Sunderland headlines.
Smoggies and Proud. Boro News.
Good morning, Boro fans. Hope your weekend was well. Middlesbrough have bowed out of the FA Cup with a tough-to-take 1-0 loss to Aston Villa. Middlesbrough pushed the team sitting second in the Premier League all night, and it took an unlucky deflection to beat an incredible Tom Glover on the night. Boro will hold their heads high, though, with a stoic performance, and many believe if they take that level again come Tuesday's home semi-final against Chelsea, will be right as rain. Tom Glover showed his potential with some fantastic saves against Villa and has now revealed the decision to remain out of this month's Asian Cup was actually a mutual one. Speaking about not going, Glover said, I spoke to the national team staff and with Seni going away to AFCON, they thought it would be best if I stayed here and played games. It was a mutual decision overall and it's an opportunity I need to make the most of here now. I've been presented with these games and I need to make it count. on that front as well, it does look like, and reported Seni Dieng will be sent home from the AFCON after reporting his injury has not healed and Senegal will not be using him, potentially Seni Dieng returning there. Later to be confirmed, Boro fans. And Boro women got off to the perfect start in 2024, beating Hull City Ladies 2-0. Goals from Ellen Turnbull and Abby Towers ensured Boro women started 2024 off in style. They now face a tough run of fixtures though, with league leaders Barnsley and Durham Sestria still to come. Before that is another home match when Leeds United head to the MAP Group Stadium next Sunday. That's your Boro headlines. On to Chelsea. Bring it on.
Magpies and proud. Mags News.
Good morning, Newcastle fans. What a weekend for three different reasons. First, an own goal and a brace from Alexander Isak gave the Magpies a deserved victory in the FA Cup third round tie at the Stadium of Light on Saturday. Having redecorated parts of their ground in honour of Newcastle United before the game, the Mackems proved to be equally generous on the pitch, netting an own goal, losing possession in their own box for the second, and then conceding a penalty for the third. A first derby success in 10 attempts since 2011 also marked Eddie Howe's first victory as Newcastle boss in the FA Cup at the third attempt, following losses to lower league sides in the previous two seasons. Newcastle's first away win in 9 league and cup games since the 3-0 victory over Manchester United in the Carabao Cup was played out in front of 6,000 away supporters who were bushed in quite sensibly, I think, from Tyneside. And having gone unbeaten through the whole of 2023, Newcastle United's women carried that form into 2024 with an emphatic 7-0 victory over Halifax women on Sunday. A Katie Barker brace and goals from Georgia Gibson and Emma Kelly blew away the visitors in the first half before Barker completed a hat-trick and both Hannah Greenwood and Tyler Dodds got in on the act in the second half. And Newcastle under-18s beat Wolves 3-2 at the weekend with a quick-fire brace from Sean Neve and an 86-minute winner from Johnny Emerson, which extended Newcastle's season-long winning streak on home soil to 5 games on Saturday. And Newcastle's Yankuba Minde has been named in the 27-man squad that will represent Gambia in the African Cup of Nations later this month. The 19-year-old attacker is currently on loan at Dutch side Feyenoord and has 1 senior international cap. The 24 tournament concludes on February the 11th. And as a broadcaster, I think we should all just send our best wishes and love to Kate Garraway this morning, who lost her husband Derek Draper over the weekend. He sadly passed away last week due to complications from COVID. Our thoughts are with Kate at this very sad time, and her family and friends. That's in Newcastle United headlines on Monday morning.
Together across the Northeast, 3 brand new radio stations, by the fans, for the fans, on DAB radio, online and smart speakers.
Right across the Northeast.
That's
the
new.
Red, the Tune and the Cat.
Well spotted, that man. Well spotted, that man.
Our jingle department is stepping up in 2024. Wow, Listen to the deep voice of that man. Wow. I was very impressed by that.
He can't even walk down the street. His pair are that large.
What a jingle that is.
Just a solid set of brass ones, isn't it?
Teddy boy, I'm putting you in the hot seat, mate. Like the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
On your show,
I want you to sit down, spotlight on, because I want to talk to you about this one thing, and then I'll be quiet the rest of the day. I want to talk to you about the message I sent to you in this in our Unspoken About WhatsApp group, and I just want to get your reaction to it, because I feel like from what I've seen on social media, what I saw in the live watch along and everything like that, it was a bit of a Sunderland meltdown post-match, and obviously it was a tough week. Now, this message, I'll leave out the profanity, but you'll be able to get the gist here. Okay, so one Sunderland fan wrote this: "The whole tie has been a nightmare. We've lost our seats to the Mags. We lost the Black Cats bar to the Mags. Planned stadium display banned by the club. Seen our colours in aforementioned Black Cats bar replaced by the black and white. Totally outclassed and hammered by the Mags. Realising now that how far we are from the Premier League and being able to compete. Our fans fighting amongst themselves in the aftermath. Michael Beale actually coming in without having any backroom backup. Stinks of a manager who's not liked. It's been horrific. KLD needs to put up or leave. I'm abbreviating. He's the custodian.
Or off, yes.
And is responsible for half this shambles. That response went viral and has, over on X right now, has a resounding 1,789 likes. What are your responses to that? Because to me, wow.
Yeah, where to start? Because there is an awful lot to unpack here. The game aside, I mean, there were so many individual performances that for me disappointed. That I know we didn't see the Sunderland side that I know could play. However, it's a massive step up. It's been said many times. We said it on the day as well. It highlights the absolute gulf that exists now between Championship and Premier League. We talked about Burnley and how good they were last season when they got promoted. You look at how they're struggling in the Premier League this time around. You're talking about going up against a team that was playing Champions League football, a team that hammered Paris Saint-Germain 4-1. We're actually better than PSG because we didn't concede 4. So that's the way I'm looking at it. However, I've seen the post from Kev on the message board. Yes, losing the seat to the Mags, right? It's gone. It's happened. I get it. Nobody likes what's happened. We lost the Black Cats part of the Mags. The planned stadium display is another one as well. That's rearing its head. And the Spirit of 73 who organised the flag display are coming in for what I would deem as unfair criticism at this time. These lads are volunteers. They rely on donations from fans. Now, some of the fans are kicking off saying, well, they've reused some of the old flags and reused some of the old placards. Well, of course they did, because the original design that they had, the club initially agreed to and then reneged on the deal, and they had to last minute put some changes in place to try and get something ordered to fill the spot. The thing that was outlawed by the club was because one of the certain displays at one of the ends was questioning the morality of the Newcastle ownership, let's say. It was actually a Sports Direct logo with sports washing written on it. So that was banned by the club, which to be honest, I mean, they seem to care more about Newcastle's feelings than they do about the fans' feelings at this moment in time. And there needs to be a full-on conversation and a full-on statement. I agree with a lot of the ill feeling towards the club at this moment in time. I think Michael Beale kind of bemoaning the lack of experience on the bench and things like that. It's ridiculous. He knew the job. He knew the brief when he came in. Apparently, using his crappy little buzzwords, we're fully aligned with the management. Well, all right, then, if you're fully aligned, get on with it. Give the young lads a chance. That will have damaged their confidence. Because you're 2-0 down against your absolute sworn enemy. You're looking at the bench and going, I can only make one, the rest of them are too young. That's crap management. Absolute crap management. And, it's becoming more and more clear that the guy has been brought in as Speakman's puppet. And again, I mean, Job was absolutely out of his depth and worn out, knackered. He started the game looking lame. He ran around that pitch like Chrissy Waddle used to at Roker Park when he was 36 years old. And by run, I mean hobble and really struggle their way through it as well. There were so many performances that where it lacked maturity, and I think it lacked that steady and calm hand of somebody like Tony Mowbray going, right, lads, this is what it's going to be like. You need to do this. You need to concentrate. I'll give you an example. Trey Hume played the occasion and not the game. He was too eager to try and stick a big tackle on Gordon rather than be patient and hold his concentration. And subsequently, he's caught out of possession numerous occasions. That's his first game against Premier League opposition. I get that. But where's that guiding hand on these lads? Ballard, unlucky with the own goal, and he was probably our best player in the first half, to be honest. And I think we're talking about that, Rye, as well. But just the immaturity for the penalty for me, where Gordon's gone away from the goal, and he doesn't have to make that challenge. He just has to stand him up. And again, you can also ask, well, where's his marker as well? Where's Trey Hume gone? So all these little bits of like sort of, Anthony Patterson's footwork, I mean, this insistence on knocking it about the 18-yard line, it cost us points against Bristol City. Bristol City, I mean, they're an absolute naff little club down south. You can't expect, if you're going to get punished by Bristol City, what's it going to be like when you're facing international standard players like Isaac and Almiron and that lot? It's now getting to the point where KLD, Kirill Louis-Dreyfus, needs to pump money into this situation, because it is now proven you are not going to win this championship and get promoted with kids. And even if you did, even if you fluked a promotion out of this, which I think is highly unlikely, by the way, even if you did, that they would get absolutely mullered week in, week out in the Premier League. And he's now got to change this tactic, because the project, in inverted commas, and I hate that expression as well, it's not a project, it's a football club, and it matters to fans, it matters to local people who've put their life and their money into that club. So calling it a project is about the biggest insult you can do. It's not a project. We're not some sort of rich little boys hedge fund project and just little plaything. He needs to grow a set. He needs to invest into that club and go, right, okay, this isn't working. We're losing the fans. We're losing important games. We don't look like we're going to get promoted. Change your tactic, lads. KLD, get your wallet out or get out, is my message.
Wow. Tough words there from Teddy Mackem. I don't mean to take over. I know it's your show, but I just wanted to sort of obviously give you a breather, because it's red hot in here this morning. I also wanted to obviously talk about we were live together. I saw your reaction. We were talking all the way through it. At halftime, I thought spirits were still quite okay. I mean, 1-0 down, and for honest, all honest purposes, there's not much Ballard could have done with that cross. Joe Linton coming in from the left-hand side, he put in a fizzer of a cross. If he doesn't get his foot to it, then Isaac is sitting there probably going to have a hat trick.
Yeah.
Exactly. So he has to do something. Unfortunately, it goes, flying past Patterson. It's an own goal, right? But you take that because, as you said, I thought Ballard was quite impressive. The amount of the balls he stopped into there and jumping over a few players, I thought he was quite, doing very well. Yep. Second half, you go away for a halftime chat with Michael Beale. You're 1-0 down in the derby, FA Cup. His chance to
that must have been inspiring.
Exactly what I was going to say. His chance to have an inspiring chat, pump the lads up. You're only 1-0 down against a Premier League team. Get back in this. We have less than a minute, and Pierre Ekwa tries to take on because he didn't try and clear it. He tried to take on.
Wasn't his fault. Wasn't his fault.
He tried to take on an onslaught of upcoming Newcastle players. Almiron strikes on him, gets the ball in, crosses it to Isaac. You're 2-0 down a minute after halftime, and that's the game done and dusted. I mean, is there a sense of being let down by a game plan or by the players, for instance, in that derby?
Yes.
Both? Is it? Both?
Yeah. I think a little bit of both. Yeah.
Okay.
Anthony Patterson, look, I said before the game, he's the best goalkeeper in the championship. He is when it comes to shot stopping and when it comes to command in his area. But when it comes to his footwork, you can't blame Pierre Ekwa for that goal. You absolutely cannot. Yeah. He plays it back to the keeper. Patterson at that point should put his laces through that and send it into the top tier of the opposing stand. Because playing it back to him, you're playing. It was a hospital pass. I mean, it was actually under hit. So Ekwa has to come further towards his goal with his back to Almiron and just puts him under serious pressure. And all the shouting in the world from the Sunderland fans it just doesn't help in that situation. Patterson should never have played the ball back to Ekwa, and it's that immaturity. And it's look, I can see what we're trying to do, build this team of young stars and sell them on for a profit and all that kind of thing. You're not going to make a profit if they get absolutely mullered on big screen opportunities like what we get, where the whole, in some cases the entire world's watching because it was the pick of the FA Cup games at that time. So that if anything damages the profitability of selling these young players on. Patterson needs to grow up from that, and we've said it. Sunderland fans have said this for a while now about his footwork. Stop prattling about with it in the 18-yard area. I had to really edit that one very quickly. Stop prattling about with it.
Beads of sweat appeared on my forehead.
Oh, not as many as me, because I like this job.
I listened to Roy Keane as well. He would have been,
Yeah, and I think the game plan. Look, the game plan is the game plan, and we didn't set up any differently to what we normally do. And I give it to Beale on that. He didn't try to experiment. It wasn't anything risky. It was kind of set up in the way we always are. But I think there was just too many people caught in the headlights. It was their first experience playing against good players. A Brazilian international pairing in midfield. Longstaff for me was actually quite disappointing, and Longstaff was somebody who I rate. I didn't think he had a great game, but having said that, when your two colleagues are Brazilian internationals like they are, and they had a great game, they didn't get hot-headed or anything like that. They actually played with the talent that we all know that they've got. So the likes of Dan Neil and Ekwa were always going to struggle against that. Ekwa, bearing in mind, lads, and I mentioned this at the time, Ekwa's only just celebrating his first anniversary of playing senior football. So, in essence, there's a little bit of, well, what do you expect? This is a young side. This is like an under-23s team that we're putting out there, without the likes of Paddy Roberts as well, without a recognised goal scorer. But at the same time, you just think, well, they've had time to address this. Louis Dreyfus has had time to address this. I worry about Michael Beale and his reaction to this. It's going to take an awful lot to repair and get the lads ready for what is an extremely tough next game against Ipswich. And it's going to take even more than that for the club to actually repair the damage in the relationship with the fans, given what they've done.
It's been a massive week, hasn't it, for Sunderland? I mean, Steve, over obviously to you, mate. You were on the flip side of it. A good performance, a good day out for Newcastle, putting Sunderland to the sword. I actually said at half time though, you created as many chances as you could, but it was a Sunderland own goal. I mean, you weren't able to sort of put it past. I think, as he said, Longstaff had a good chance. Bruno as well. Was showing his class in there. When we were talking about, Sunderland potentially getting under his skin, he was kind of left alone, and Newcastle just were able to get to work.
Hey, look, Dan Ballard got himself in all kinds of a mess for that first goal, and if he'd missed it, Isak was at the back post and took it in unmarked. So it was an own goal, but it was great work by Joe Linton, and Isak would have finished that no problem at all. Sean Longstaff, he's been going through a mixed bag of form. I think he has been playing with an injury. I think, like quite a few of the players, let's face it, they've had to play through the pain barrier because of the people who've been ruled out through injury. I think the one positive I took from Sean Longstaff was he wasn't afraid to miss. He got himself into numerous positions. I think the first 3 chances of the game fell to Sean Longstaff, and he missed them all. But at least he was in the right place at the right time. That gives me a lot of hope for forthcoming games for Newcastle. He's gradually finding his way back to form. He just needs to get his shooting boots on. Probably a bit of nerves in that. I mean, it's a big game. The North East Tyne we had Tyne Derby. It's become, it should be a regular fixture on the calendar, but unfortunately it isn't. But the game itself, I got more confident the closer we got to the game, and I predicted a 2-1 win for Newcastle. By the time I got to the ground, I wasn't nervous at all. I really had that kind of, wasn't overconfidence. I just felt we were going to win the game. And when I saw Newcastle's lineup, I just felt like we were giving maybe Sunderland too much credit, and I thought it's going to be embarrassing if Newcastle lose to Sunderland today, because of the gulf between the two teams that exists at the moment, mainly due to the fact that Sunderland have spent so long out of the Premier League, and it did come to pass. Newcastle really put in a professional performance. The concerns that we had about the likes of Bruno and Joe Linton potentially playing the occasion rather than playing the game, it was pointless worrying about it, because as we've just said, and I've just heard Ted say it. I mean, they put in a really, really professional performance, the lads. Joe Linton probably was man of the match until he went off. He dominated the midfield. He ran into the channels. He was putting himself about physically without going over the top. And he controlled his emotions, as did Bruno. And they bossed the midfield. They really did. And I think if there was an example of men against boys on the day, it was probably those two in the middle. I think they did a fantastic job. Anthony Gordon, I mean, Newcastle United's official club website and social media put out a little video of Anthony Gordon after the game. Wise move kind of thing that sometimes social media representatives of clubs put out before games, which stokes up the wrong kind of feeling. But it was a video of him when the draw had been made against Sunderland, and he goes, Sunderland, I've always wanted to play them, and I've always wanted to play in that game. And it was like, you could see he really was enthusiastic about playing in it. We spoke last week about Gordon used to enjoy playing in the Liverpool-Everton game. So to be able to play in the Newcastle-Sunderland game and put in the kind of performance he did, he can hold his head. He can hold his head high. He'll be disappointed he didn't get on the score sheet. He usually does in derby games, but I thought his performance was exceptional. I'll give special mention to Isak because he is. If we can keep him fit, he is going to be our centre forward for quite a few years to come. He took the second goal really well for the club at the weekend. It was the important second goal, putting the game almost beyond Sunderland's reach. But you've got to give credit to Sunderland in the sense that they didn't sit back. They didn't let their heads go down. They did give it a go at times. I think I'd highlighted Pritchard as somebody who potentially could do some damage after watching him against Preston. He took a speculative shot from about 25 yards out and it skimmed the crossbar. And Dubravka, who, as a goalkeeper, it's very hard, to stand around and do nothing all game and then suddenly find yourself with a shot to save. And he was equal to the shot that Sunderland put in. And
one from Ekwa, it was a hell of a save.
Ekwa,
great save.
That would have made it 2-1, and it would have been interesting to see what Newcastle would have done then, because confidence has been fragile. The results haven't been good over Christmas, and in your local derby, with a crowd suddenly getting behind the team again, it might have made a difference, but it didn't happen. And Dubravka's save was massively important, and keeping it at 2-0, and neither of those chances going in, the supporters really had just decided to spend most of the game, just sitting on their hands, which isn't a disease that Sunderland have uniquely. It's exactly the same at Newcastle. And again, something I mentioned last week, if we can quieten the crowd down and get a goal, it's going to play into our hands, because Newcastle and Sunderland, at home, who have big crowds, week after week, are a massive advantage and are a 12th man when they're behind the team. But when they sit quietly, it does work against the team in a lot of ways, because that kind of nervousness and the animosity,
the murmurs and groans, isn't it?
It doesn't help, and that's what happened. And we were quite close to the Sunderland fans. The banter was great. I mean, look, it was in that respect, it was a good-natured derby. I often laugh when I go to away grounds and I see people in our support spending most of the game, turning towards the opposition fans and just constantly going at each other. And we had a couple of them in our away end, and there was quite a few in the Sunderland end. Basically spent the whole game shouting and bawling at each other, which I just find bizarre. Probably didn't see any of the game or any of the goals.
So you see me sister then?
Overall as an experience, it was I've been to every derby at Roker and the Stadium of Light, as I've mentioned, lads, since the late 80s, and I enjoyed it. The experience as a Newcastle fan, being part of a bubble derby, was interesting. We got to the ground at 8:30 in the morning. which was our allocated slot on the buses. We got up there and it was well organised by Newcastle. We were basically queued up underneath the Milburn stand, and as we got up there was it was little touches by the club. They had a DJ playing, music that would be played inside the ground on a match day on loop. They had on the left hand side towards the glass atrium, they had tables lined up where they were giving away like a cereal bar, a bottle of water, and a free scarf. And ultimately, they just got everything right from the club's perspective, bearing in mind they had paid for the buses. Look, 6,000 scarves is neither here nor there to our owners, but it's the gesture that counts. But they had us all lined up. We stood outside the ground probably for about 15-20 minutes, and then we got they allowed us to walk up towards the buses. We got onto the buses. I was quite lucky for us. We were on the second bus going down to the Stadium of Light. We got onto the bus. We then were ferried down to Scotswood Road, and they got us into a convoy. And then that was probably the worst part. We had to wait on Scotswood Road for about 30 minutes. So when you think you're on your way, but then you stopped in Newcastle, it was a bit annoying. But then, we travelled down to Sunderland. Probably took us 10-15 minutes longer than it would have in the car. And we got to the ground around about 10:15. So we were the first couple of coaches in. I did find it funny that there was, quite a few Sunderland fans milling around there to give us a bit of grief as we got in.
We saw that.
It was a warm welcome, mate. It was a warm welcome.
It was. Well, you're thinking, how well, lads, there's 3 hours to go before kick-off. Surely you've got something better to be doing than standing out here calling me an FA Cup. And it was, and if you're going to hurl an insult, chuck something better than that. But look, it is what it is. It set the tone. We got in, no problem. I think the good thing as well was that the stewarding. When you go down to a game like this and you're playing a local derby, they tend to put your stewards in your section. So we had a lot of Newcastle stewards in with us, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of the lads who want to give them a big shout out. They did a great job at the weekend. We got in and we got into the bar. Going into the bar was great for the lads. I don't drink before a game. I might have a drink after the game, but I don't drink before a game, and I don't drink, at half time. I like to watch the game and take it all in and take the atmosphere in. So, I went in, got a coffee. The lads all bought 4 pints, and we were basically each, yes, and we were basically standing there. But we managed to get
like my derby did.
Well, that's basically it. So we got into the corner. We got into a corner. We got our place, but within an hour, with the rest of the buses starting to come in and the rest of the supporters coming in, it was very, very, and I put a couple of videos on a shorts on my YouTube channel. It was very, very crowded and very tight, uncomfortably so, to the point where there was 1 or 2 people just getting aerated with each other because people don't like it when they spill beer, but other people who just wouldn't move. It was becoming too uncomfortable. So I went up to my seat at about 45 minutes before kick-off, watched the teams come out, watched the lads warm up, and just took the atmosphere in, really, and obviously saw that Sunderland had managed to get some kind of flag display sorted out, which all added to the atmosphere. Pyrotechnics, really, was it that kind of occasion? Somebody somewhere probably thought it was a good idea, but if you do pyrotechnics on a regular,
my bad.
If you do pyrotechnics on a regular basis, do them. But to do them just because of that game, I'm not so sure. But anyway,
that was for the watch along.
It must have been. You must have organised it.
I did. My bad.
But the atmosphere at the start, the best part of the day was the start. When the music gets played, Sunderland come out, Newcastle come out. It was, you really got a sense of the occasion. The scarves came into play from the Newcastle end because Newcastle United fans were twirling the scarves. We've had experience of doing that at home, and that itself, what a sight. Listen, I'm not going to criticise Sunderland's flag display. It is what it is. And whoever's paid for that and done it, as Ted quite rightly points out, that these people are volunteers. I've seen the fallout on Sunderland's timeline about where's the money gone, blah blah blah. Look, it's a lot of there's a lot of expense goes into these things. It's not going to be. It wasn't the greatest of flag displays, but at least the lads give it a go. And the fact that they were hampered by the fact that they'd come up with an idea which eventually was, vetoed by the club. Well, probably
very last minute as well.
They probably spent money on something that was probably halfway through manufacture, if not manufactured, and it's probably probably had to chuck that in the bin. So it's just one of those situations. But listen, it made for a great atmosphere. Newcastle fans waving their scarves, the Sunderland fans doing their bit with their display, and that was it. We're into the game, and the game for me, like I said, it was weird because the closer we got to the game, the less nervous I got, and it probably about 15-20 minutes in, it was, we've got to start taking my chances, and I mean, those Longstaff misses really were like you were thinking, no, surely not. We're not gonna go down this route again. But the first goal settled the nerves. I think from our perspective. I mean, I was standing next to a couple of my mates who were perennial, the perennial season away season huggers. The hug you at every opportunity. If you miss a chance, if you do this, you do that. But I'm like their psychiatrist on a match day. Like, I'm going to be fine, man. We'll get another goal. But like even at 2-0, they're going, oh, we need a third. Like, we need a third. They're just those kind of supporters. But I got them through it. There was, for me, it was an enjoyable derby. I sat there at half time, had a chat with a few fans around us, and we were contemplating what the second half would bring. I think a lot of people were, praised Howe's management of Miley. I think if anybody could have potentially been lured into playing the occasion, rather than the match, it might have been Miley, only because of his age. Maybe could have been a target, which proved to be the case later on with Luke O'Nien. Maybe they would have targeted him and tried to rough him up. And I think it was a sensible move by Howe to give Miley a place on the bench. I thought when he came on, I thought he did tremendously well, and I think the fact that you didn't get a rise out of him from that challenge by O'Nien, I think shows the maturity and the head that kid's got on him. He probably could have started the game, but I think it was wise management on Howe's behalf. I think it was great as well to see Trippier come back to his best. I think that was the big talking point pre-match. We knew he was going to have a late fitness test, but I think Sunderland saw the best of Kieran Trippier there. He had an absolute blinder, and to get a bit of stick like he did, which I think we all knew he probably would if he was going to play for the rumours that are flying around, unsubstantiated rumours that are flying around him.
Wasn't aware of anything.
They give him some stick, and he was great. He played the banter, and he loved that game, and that was an example of how to deal with that kind of stuff from a professional perspective. He really did a great job, and he captained the team to victory. And I think for me, obviously the second goal, Isaac's goal was great, and I think the supplier of the goal was Miggy Almiron, who you can see, I think Sunderland fans got a chance to see at first hand what Miggy Almiron's all about. He can be quite a frustrating individual. He puts so much work in, he puts so much effort in. There's very little end product, but he assisted for the second goal, which was key. He ran himself into the ground, and he crossed with his right foot twice at the weekend, which clearly is something he's now working on in training, because normally he has to cut back onto his left. Well, to see him cross with his right, for me, was a major. There's major work being done on that respect, and that was great to see. I probably gave Anthony Gordon man of the match. I think he just shaded it. It would have been Joe Linton had he stayed on the pitch, but obviously he succumbed to another injury. But I thought that Anthony Gordon was by far the man of the match. I thought he ran himself into the ground, and there was he was just very, very productive. He deserved a goal probably on the day, but didn't get one. Got to give mention to the back four. I mean, I know they were rarely troubled, but Dan Burn was probably targeted and tested the most, and I thought again, somebody who's a Geordie lad, despite his experience, could have played the occasion, but he didn't. He played the game. I thought Dan Burn did well. He's certainly coming towards the twilight years of his career, though, and I think that game might have been a bit of a wake-up call to him, because if they were going to get a bit of joy, I think it might have been down Dan Burn's side. But look, he didn't shirk his duties, and he played really well. As for the end of the game, obviously I was in the away end, and as always, Newcastle United, win, lose or draw, come down and thank the supporters. And I think the emotion and what that win meant was there for all to see. I think the fact that the players ran down to us and cheered and saluted was, I think it was spontaneous. It wasn't planned. I think it showed how much winning a derby means, and I think that shows that the guys in the dressing room, your Sean Longstaffs, your Paul Dummett, your Mark Gillespie's, your Dan Burns, I think did their job as Geordies and made the non-Geordies understand what this game actually means to the supporters. And I think that the spontaneous reaction was to come down and run towards us all and say that one was for you. Especially having 6,000 Newcastle fans there, that's a hell of a lot of supporters. And as a winning derby team, you can't help but be inspired by seeing that many of your supporters at an away ground, and they ran down and wanted to do that. It was, I've got to be honest, before Tyndall organised the players to turn around for the photograph, I said this would be a great photo opportunity, but that's the PR person in me. I thought this would be a great opportunity. I was hoping they were going to do it, and then you just saw Tyndall speaking to Serena, the club photographer, and speaking to the lads and trying to organise them to turn round and do it. So I don't think that was a pre-organised bit of housery without the first word. I think that was literally just an opportunity for Newcastle to capture a moment in time, because you don't often have 6,000 away fans there, but it was a huge win for us. Huge because it was the derby, huge because it was progression into the fourth round of the FA Cup because of what's happened in recent weeks, going out of the Champions League and going out of the Carabao Cup, but also huge because it's an opportunity for us to get a photo in front of all the fans who followed us across the continents this year. It captured a moment in time. I don't think the thought of rubbing it in Sunderland's faces or this'll upset the Mackems. I don't think that was the initial thought. I think as the photo was taken, it probably sunk in what they were doing. But we've taken those photos for years now, within the confines of our own changing rooms or visiting changing rooms, and I just think it was the spontaneity of it. I don't think it was pre-planned. I just think it's one of those. And yeah, look, I can understand the backlash. I can understand people saying, well, that's embarrassing, blah, blah, blah. I don't pay much attention to these people on other radio stations and their views of people who've never played a derby at Newcastle and Sunderland in their lives, or they don't really understand North East football. I genuinely think...
Good slagging, like it.
I just genuinely think it was just in the moment that we did that. Listening to the post-match interviews when I got back in, finishing off, getting the coaches back. That was the worst part of the day. We ended up obviously first in, last out was the way that but there was no communication from the club. There was no communication from the police. This was the disappointing thing. And when I say the club, I mean Sunderland. No tannoy announcements or anything. So we were kept back in the bar for an hour after the game. I had another coffee. The lads had another 4 pints. And the
each
each and then there was a problem with the electronics within the stadium. So basically you couldn't pay by card, and we were told there was no cash payments on the day at Sunderland. It was all card payments.
Oh, so you got the beer free.
So the terminals went down, and we were then kept in the ground for another 45 minutes, and they had to give the beer away. So basically, instead of pulling the shutters down,
please don't tell me my club give you free beer as well to celebrate.
So basically, they gave the lager away in the lower tier. They gave, and the upper tier before they got let out. Everyone got the beer for free. We got our soft drinks for free. Well, of course, I wasn't going to miss
my weekend even worse.
I wasn't going to miss out on a freebie, so I went up to the bar and said, "Can I have a bottle of Diet Coke, please?" And she went, we can't do that. The card machine's down." I said, "Well, everyone's getting free beer." I said, "And I don't drink." And she went, "All right, look, you can just have one." So I got me free bottle of Coke off Sunderland.
I got a free Coke.
They then basically ran out of lager.
Did they bring masseurs in and give you all free massages?
Nearly. So they basically started bringing
them at a hotel in Newcastle.
So my mates were coming back with another 4 pints of lager, right? So they were bringing those 4 pints of lager over, and then people were coming back going, the terminal's still not on. He says, but they've run out of lager. I says, what's that? He went, oh, that's dark fruit. So then my mates went back and started getting dark fruits. So by the time we left, they'd run out of lager and they'd just run out of dark fruits as we left, and they'd give it all away for free. A couple of people like me got soft drinks, and a couple of other people got those little bottles of wine in glass bottles, which basically it was a free for all at the end of the match. We then got let out into the car park, which was quite a narrow exit into that stand to start with. They piled us all into there and kept us outside for another half an hour. So I got back to Newcastle after the game at about 5:15 on one of the last set of buses. Post-match interviews, I've got to be honest, I thought that I was impressed with Beale, and I've mentioned that at the top of the programme. I thought Beale was very measured, very calm, and I thought he came across very well. And I know that you know Ted's got his own opinions on Beale and his appointment, but just focusing on the Derby game and focusing on what he said, I think he pretty much got it right about Sunderland Football Club and where they are and where this team is and what they'll have learned from that game. And I listened to 09's, although it was slightly speeded up on the version I watched because I got sent this and say, oh, you've got to watch this. But again, I thought his was quite measured, and I think Eddie Howe, as always, was just calm, cool and collected and just gave an honest opinion. But there's no doubt about it, that win for us was probably the reboot that Eddie Howe was looking for at the weekend. This isn't a starting point. This isn't a game to kickstart our season. It's a reboot. It was getting back to the principles of not conceding goals, keeping it tight at the back, and doing a professional job in the midfield and up front, and getting through to the next round. And make no mistake about it, that was a really difficult draw for us, and I will pay Sunderland the respect in the sense that was as difficult as getting Man City away or getting PSG, AC Milan and Dortmund in the Champions League because of the opposition, because it was a potential banana skin for us, the biggest banana skin that Newcastle United can face as a football club, because if you lose that game, then your life isn't worth living for a week. And if you lose that game as a football team, it's an embarrassment. And we saw Sunderland's flag, following in the footsteps of legends or something along those lines. It meant a lot to Sunderland as well. And there'll be a lot of people returning to Nissan today who'll be getting a bit of stick from their Geordie compatriots, and there'll be a lot of
sick leave, mate.
There'll be a lot of sick leave, I can imagine. Yeah, but overall, it was a derby match that was played in the right spirit. I didn't see any trouble, and I think the one thing I said on Friday's show was, let's make sure that's the case, and that was mainly down to the fact that the police did their job well. I'd hate to see the taxpayers' bill for that particular convoy at the weekend. And despite the fact that they've said that they're not setting a precedent for future derbies with that kind of bubble game. If it happens again anytime soon, I can imagine them doing exactly the same again, because it was such a big success. So yeah, look, overall delighted. We're into the next round. Newcastle will be hoping for a home draw tonight, and hoping that we can get something slightly easier than we've had in previous cup games this season. We deserve a little bit of luck. I think for me, ideally, I'd like to see Wrexham at home because of the connection with Rob Lee's family. I think that in itself would be a wonderful tie. Or give.
You just want to get on Deadpool 3, don't you? That's
do,
what
yeah.
it is.
and get mates,
I know your game, mate.
This is Wrexham.
Or get Maidstone. Yeah, exactly. Or get Maidstone United up here as somebody. So it's just to give us an easier game. please just give us a chance at home against somebody so we can get through the 5th round and keep our season alive. But I believe, although it hasn't been confirmed officially yet, that means that the Aston Villa game will probably get put back now, because Newcastle and Aston Villa both obviously got through. Aston Villa beating Middlesbrough, of course, by that 1-0 scoreline. But I think that means our fixture against Villa may well get put back now, which for me is good news, because despite beating Sunderland, we now go into a game against Manchester City at the weekend. It might all come, the feel good factor could come crashing back down at the weekend. We are at home, of course, but I'd just like to keep the run going.
The Bruyne back.
If we could get a point against Man City going into a 2-week break, and chance to get players back, then I think, then going into the next round of the FA Cup and getting another win, and having that Villa game pushed back a bit, I think that would do us the world of good, because by the time we played Villa then, you'd hope that we'd have the likes of Harvey Barnes back, Elliot Anderson, Jacob Murphy, Joe Willock, and everybody probably would be back and available apart from Nick Pope. So we could be in a much stronger position when we come to play Villa in the future. But listen, great weekend. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Came back home, sat with the missus, had 2 bottles of Prosecco, listened to some tunes, and had a cracking night.
Posh are you? You're more middle class than radio, Dad.
Here we go.
Two remaining.
Only took him 25 minutes.
Two remaining bottles from Christmas, mate. One which was bought from us by a fellow mag for doing NUFC Matters, and it's 56 minutes, and it's the first time.
There it is, bingo.
And the other one that was left over from Christmas Day, and I thought, you know what, I haven't had a drink all day. I've had a couple of cups of coffee, I've had a free bottle of pop from Sunderland. I'm going to have 2 bottles of Prosecco before I go into bed and finish off the Christmas chocolates to celebrate the Derby win, and that's what I did.
So there you go, 30 minutes of Steve Wraith on his experiences and thoughts of what happened at the weekend. So I'd just like to give the opportunity for a reply to young Tedlick. You lost your seats to the Mags. You lost the Black Cats bar to the Mags. The planned stadium display banner was rejected by your ownership. Yep. You scored the first goal for Newcastle. You gifted them the second, and then gave them a penalty. And ultimately, after all of that, you allowed them to take a PR opportunity photograph on the pitch and then serve 6,000 Mags free drink. What are your thoughts on the weekend, Ted?
I'd rather not say it this point.
I did not have a sexual relationship.
Open crumb.
Well, yes, that's something else that maybe some Newcastle players could say. The free beer thing. I mean, geez, Steve. I mean, that's just absolutely.
That's going to go down well.
All in a meltdown as well.
I didn't want to tell you at the weekend because I could see how upset you were about everything else. So I just didn't want to.
I'm getting messages in now from Geordie Charlie going, "Wow, salty brew, the free bar, laughy face."
Well, we joked with that meme. We had a joke with that meme of the red carpet being rolled out. You certainly have, mate.
Oh my goodness!
I absolutely cannot believe what my club is doing at this moment in time.
Wow.
I mean, they'll be suggesting a stadium share next. You know what I mean? It's just like, why don't you come and train at the stadium? We'll open up for you. We'll lock up. We'll put some coffees on. If the fans want to come down, we'll give you a couple of cans of dark fruits. That's just absolutely insane. That's absolutely insane. I can't wait for that to be made public, and just see what the likes of Mr. Davidson, the commercial director, has to say, and the owners as well, because that's just a new law. Just a new law. I mean, just because somebody hasn't topped up the key and card meter with the electric.
Hey, Dave.
Yeah.
Dave, I was proud of Boro.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was proud about it. I was proud of Boro.
Yeah. We
got news headlines.
We had no strife. No strife whatsoever, did we?
No. Oh, we did well. Second team in the Premier League.
News.
Oh, we were good. I'm proud of us. Look at us on the Northeast, just being clean, respectable. Best team in the Northeast, I say.
Yeah, no grief, no panic.
Nothing.
No crisis.
No
skill,
free beers. No win. No goals.
Hey. 4-0, 3-0 for him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just, it's good. At the Borough, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah,
Can't wait for that next watch along.
Feel good factor.
Can't.
Well,
I've just seen on Twitter, by the way, well, X, formerly known as Twitter, Middlesbrough doing a flag display, but it looked very similar to Sunderland's. Have you just nicked those carrier bags?
No, we just got one of the biggest games.
Oh, come
One
on.
of the biggest games. Hey, one of the biggest games in our modern history, and we got a full stand tifo coming against Chelsea semi-final up to Boro. God, we're a good team.
yeah.
Ted, I'm copying you in on this so you can look at it in the news.
Oh, God, thanks.
And that is a very good point. It's a very,
I'm just trying to move on.
it's a very good and intellectual point that Rye's made. Which of the North East clubs is in a cup semi-final this year?
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the northeast, the red, the toon and the cat.
Smoggies and Proud.
Hang on.
We are Smoggies and Proud. Good reminder.
Yes,
good
we are.
reminder.
We're Smoggies and
Great
Proud.
reminder.
That just proves the point. It was going to be an interesting return because normally we stick on a longer song to allow us to go and recharge our glasses, go and visit the yes again. Thanks, Sunderland Football Club, and do other things that need to be done. You know, when you get a break. And then I found out I'd thrown 10-pole Tudor on. It was only 2 minutes 32 seconds. So I was wondering, A, would you guys be back? But obviously, B, I wasn't even ready with me buttons to be pressed.
Well done. Smoggies and Proud, though. Smoggies and Proud.
But yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Where you going? Where you going,
Absolutely
fellas?
love it.
Well, it's a sad day, and not only because Sunderland lost the derby, but we are retiring a great friend of the show.
Why?
It's the last.
Why are you going, Ted?
No, I said great friend of the show. Yes, under strict orders from the ownership, I've been told I need to retire. What the fact? And so today is going to be the last one. But fear not, I have something in the pipeline for Thursday, gents. Don't you worry about that. And the only way I'm agreeing to drop... I'm glad you said that, because honestly I couldn't have. The fact what? Yeah, we're going to have a new little trivia feature, shall we call it, for when I do the show. So that's going to be going from Thursday. But this is the last one. This is the last what the fact, unless there is an absolute public outcry. Daniil, who had a good little chat with Daniil over Twitter and private message as well. What a nice lad he is. A lovely fella.
Yep.
So yeah,
Agreed.
Daniil, play hell about it. Say that you want what the fact to stay. Then we might be able to turn the ownership's management around their decision.
Don't you dare call me KLD.
Well, keen, loose and drunk. Yes. Well, yeah, this is the last one, so I guess fire up the theme tune, mate, and we'll get on with the last one.
The last one.
It should be dropped. Dave's making a big mistake. Big mistake. Dropping this feature. Big mistake.
It's the last one. No more what the fact. Write a letter, start writing. It's the last one. Pitchfork.
Nobody can fruities I can write. Use a crayon. Right, so you know how it works by now. I have an interesting fact. I'm going to give you 4 clues. The first clue.
Not interesting.
For the final. I have a fact. Go on then. We'll call it a fact, not an interesting one. So, your first clue. Money talks and finally ends the jinx. So that's money talks and finally ends the jinx.
Newcastle's win on the weekend.
No.
Yeah,
As if I was going to use that.
Does money ends the jinx have a question mark at the end of it?
No.
Right.
Money talks. Give me it again. Give me it again. Money talks.
Money talks and finally ends the jinx.
It was obviously Sunderland 0, Newcastle 3.
That's what I said.
Yeah, I've got to agree with Ryan. Ted's wrong.
Dave's paying attention. Yeah. Dave's listening intently.
No, I'm just having a conversation with Jimmy Coppers. Sorry, fellas.
Right. Is he coming on?
Depends on how you go the rest of the show, Ted.
In fact, I tell you what, we're already an hour into the show. I'm going to give you the second clue straight away as well, just to get this out of the way. I'm sad about this. I'm sad about this anyway. It's a bitter split from me and What the Fact.
Why is it retiring, by the way?
Because you said it had to.
Oh
my Lord!
Oh, no.
I said What the Fact, and you went no. This
man is.
I took the Daz route, but it's your station.
This man is casting nasturtiums in my general direction.
He is.
Yeah,
he is.
He's not like.
What? He's
That's
not
a fact.
Well, I said
It is a fact.
I slagged it off and said it's ridiculously hard. It's the most.
I do have an idea for another feature though. That's it's a bit like What the Fact.
What's Stelios thinking? Is it that?
It's called What is the Fact?
No. It's all
Fact the
It's
what?
all about facts. It's all about facts about the Leeds United manager. What the?
Well played.
Excellent.
Well played.
I don't think I can get away with that one though.
No,
can
you
I?
can't. No, the button will be pressed.
No.
You will be jettisoned.
No.
You will be.
Yeah.
The chair that you're sitting in will be into. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Come on then, number
Shout out
2.
to Daniel,
Space
regular
program.
listener.
Right, clue number 2. Yes,
Yeah.
I know. We need to get on to talk about Boro for 3 minutes. So, first clue was money talks and finally ends the jinx.
Yep.
And then the second clue is that's the thing with cup games. There's always a hero and a villain.
It's 3-0. I'm telling you.
It has to be. He's literally just. It's just from his headlines.
It's not.
So that's the thing about cup
I
games.
don't know why my voice broke there.
Oh, it's Jimmy Savile on.
Hit the button, Dave. Hit the button.
So that's the thing about cup games. There's got to be a hero and a villain.
Yep, that's the thing about cup games. There's always a hero and a villain.
Wow, I got nothing. Open Chrome though.
Come on then, let's talk about Middlesbrough, I suppose.
No, why don't we do some club headlines first?
Oh,
Yes,
you've always got a cold shotgun, haven't you?
I don't like.
Don't come to me first. Don't come to me first though. I've closed them. I don't know where they've gone. Hang on.
Okay. We'll do this first. Okay. Behave yourselves. We've got to record these ones because the first set were crap. Okay.
Magpies
I'm good.
and proud. Mags News.
Well, an own goal and a brace from Alexander Isak gave the Magpies a deserved victory in the FA Cup third round tie at the Stadium of Light on Saturday. And having redecorated parts of the ground in honour before the game, the Magpies proved to be equally generous on the pitch, netting an own goal, losing possession of their own box for the second and then conceding a penalty for the third. A first derby success in 10 attempts since 2011 also marked Eddie Howe's maiden victory as Newcastle boss in this competition at the third attempt, following losses to lower league sides in the previous 2 seasons. United's first away win in 9 league and cup games since the 3-0 victory over Manchester United in the Carabao Cup was played out in front of 6,000 away supporters who were bussed in from Tyneside. Having gone unbeaten throughout the whole of 2023, Newcastle United women carried the form into 2024 with an emphatic 7-0 victory over Halifax women on Sunday. A Katie Barker brace and goals from Georgia Gibson and Emma Kelly blew away the visitors in the first half before Barker completed a hat-trick and both Hannah Greenwood and Tyler Dodds got in the act on the second. Newcastle under-18s beat Wolves 3-2 at the weekend. A quick-fire brace from Sean Neve and an 86-minute winner from Johnny Emerson extended Newcastle's season-long winning streak on home soil to 5 games on Saturday. And Newcastle's Yankuba Minde has been named in the 27-man squad that will represent Gambia in the African Cup of Nations later this month. The 19-year-old attacker is currently on loan at Dutch side Feyenoord and has one senior international cap. The 24 tournament concludes on February the 11th. That's in Newcastle United headlines on Monday morning.
Mackem's and Proud. Black Cats News.
Morning, Sunderland fans. TalkSport's Jamie O'Hara has criticised Newcastle United's celebration after defeating Sunderland in the FA Cup at the weekend. I've got to have a bit of a moan up though. I understand the fans celebrating because you are rivals, but the players and the fans and the staff all going over like you'd won the FA Cup and doing a team photo in front of the fans. You know, I just thought, come on mate, you've just beat Sunderland in the Championship and you're one of the richest clubs in the world. I thought it was a bit disrespectful. Well said too, Jamie. Both head coach Michael Beale and captain Luke O'Nien called for Sunderland to learn from their 3-0 defeat against Newcastle, admitting there was a gap in quality between the two sides. In truth, it should have been expected given Newcastle's starting 11 cost in excess of £250 million, while Sunderland's side was assembled for less than £10 million. Still, the manner of losing the first Weir Tyne derby for nearly 8 years in front of a highly charged stadium-like crowd left its sting on Weir's side. Beale went on to bemoan the lack of depth and experience on the bench, highlighted by the fact he only made one substitution in the entire game, while skipper O'Nien was clearly disappointed in the performance and perhaps felt Sunderland could have offered more of a challenge. And finally, there are supposedly a number of clubs looking at the deal for Bournemouth striker Kiefer Moore this month, but Sunderland apparently are winning the race to land the Welshman's signature. Moore, 31, has struggled for game time at the Vitality Stadium this season following the appointment of Andoni Iraola as manager. Indeed, the Sun's Alan Nixon reports that Sunderland and Michael Beale are leading the charge to sign Moore before the end of the January window, ahead of the likes of Daniel Farke's Leeds United and more second-tier clubs. They are your Sunderland headlines.
Smoggies and Proud. Boro News.
Good morning, Boro fans. I have to quickly jump in and just say, unfortunately, Sunderland fans, that Kiefer Moore rumour has been shot down. They were hoping for the funds from the beer on tap on the weekend. That hasn't come through. Kiefer Moore deal off. Anyway, on to Middlesbrough headlines. Middlesbrough bowed out of the FA Cup with a tough-to-take 1-0 loss to Aston Villa. Middlesbrough pushed the team, sitting second in the Premier League all night, and it took in a lucky deflection to beat an incredible Tom Glover. Boro will hold their heads high with a stoic performance, and many believe it will take that level again come Tuesday's home semi-final against Chelsea in the Carabao Cup. Tom Glover showed his potential with some fantastic saves against Villa and now revealed the decision to remain out of this month's Asian Cup was actually a mutual one. Speaking about not going to the Asian Cup, Glover said, "I spoke to the national team staff and with Seni going away to AFCON, they thought it would be best if I stayed here and played games. It was a mutual decision overall and it's an opportunity I now need to make the most of because I am staying behind. I've been presented with these games and need to now make it count, and my goodness did he whatever." And Boro women got off to the perfect start in 2024, beating Hull City Ladies 2-0. Goals from Ellen Turnbull and Abby Towers ensured Boro women started 2024 in style. They now face a tough run of fixtures though, with league leaders Barnsley and Durham Sestria still to come. Before that is another home match when Leeds United head to the MAP Group Stadium next Sunday. Them's your Boro headlines. We are on to Chelsea semi-final Carabao Cup up the Boro.
Fellas,
what have you done? Jimmy Coppers is on the ball.
He's there.
Straight on Twitter.
Jimmy Coppers is there.
Oh no! It started now.
I'll give him a retweet.
Yeah.
You should do. You're just giving him a scoop.
And the Holgate Ender, big shout out to the Holgate Ender. He's on X quite a bit. He's always interacting with me.
Good crack, actually.
A lot of tongue in cheek. He's just put a thing in there. He says, "Can we retire Radio Dad and keep WTF?"
What?
What?
Hang on. Out of order. That is out of order. Let me get on to X.
Now you got the fans riding. Can you believe it? Oh,
Dave,
no.
I'll copy you in, Dave, because it's only fair that you have a right to respond.
Get that into me. Into me, I'm telling you.
Big shout out to the Holgate Ender. If you can set up one of those, if you can set up one of those things where people will get a chance to vote on it to be passed as law that what the fact remains, that would be great.
We need a poll. We do need a poll.
It's called a petition.
I'm going to jump in and steal the show right now because I want to talk about Boro before
you do.
Ted sets me up with some
before you
cheeky
do.
line.
Jack's been on WhatsApp. He said, if it is the fact that it's the last what the fact, the answer must be Mario Balotelli.
Yes, Jack. Yes, Jack.
I like where
son.
Jack's coming from on this one. He's a smart lad, Jack. But he's
well done,
wrong.
Jack. Well done. Well done, Jack. That's a great answer, though. That's a great answer. Right, I'm going to steal the show now. I'm talking Boro Aston Villa. I'm not having anyone set me up with meh. Right, we had a brilliant performance on the weekend, Boro fans. We've got to hold our heads proud. Very, very proud. We had an unlucky, and I mean very unlucky, deflection against a brilliant Tom Glover go in that saw Aston Villa beat us 1-0 at home. But my goodness me, weren't we at our best on the weekend? The tactics that we deployed against the team second in the Premier League were fantastic, to the point where we had to see Aston Villa bringing on the likes of Ollie Watkins and Diaby in that second half to try and break us down. Middlesbrough were absolutely fantastic, setting up for the counter. Now, albeit giving Aston Villa the chance to have all the possession, Middlesbrough were happy to sit back and just set up defensively to break down what was a very strong Aston Villa outfit. Many have believed now that if we play like that, come against Chelsea, we'll be absolutely fine, and I couldn't agree more. I have to give a special mention to the man that I got to announce signing for this great club in Tommy Glover, my good friend. Had one of the best games I have ever seen in a long time for a Boro keeper. He pulled off some of the most world-class saves I have ever seen. There is one from a corner that flew in just before the stroke of half-time that I don't think will ever be replicated in a Boro keeper shirt again anytime soon. Such was the level of his save. I thought Matt Clark, the big bald eagle down back, was back to his very best, and he's actually probably eased the fears a little bit to the recruitment staff who were probably looking at defensive capabilities. Well, I'll tell you what, Matt Clark's your answer, because he was absolutely fantastic. We knew Matt Clark was a great defender before he signed for the club. He won Brighton Player of the Season twice, 2 years in a row before signing with the Boro, and then unfortunately had that serious back injury which kept him out of football for 13 months. Well, he's back now. My goodness, did he mark his return on the weekend against Aston Villa. Michael Carrick got it absolutely right for me. We saw Lucas Engel and Alex Bangura both on the pitch at the same time. Two left backs, everyone scratching their heads. But I tell you what, Bangura down that wing being left open caused Aston Villa dramas. Very, very proud of my club. Very proud of my team. Very proud of my the fan base on the weekend. That was a packed Riverside Stadium. Absolutely incredible. And it's two massive games in a row for the Boro fans with Aston Villa, and now onto the Carabao Cup semi-final against Chelsea. If we play like that, if we set up like that, if we do everything that we did on that weekend against a Chelsea outfit, even if we lose, we will be absolutely stellar with that performance, because that was what we wanted. That's what we needed. We kissed the badge. We play for our club. We play for our heart, and that's all we ask, even if we lose. But I tell you what, we play like that against Chelsea, we're going to cause them some problems. We were an inch away from Joshy Coburn scoring a fantastic goal. We were inches away from a Johnny Howson leveler as well. So, look, very, very proud after that weekend. Dave, I'm not sure what your thoughts were. You would have watched the game, but I was very proud of the lads, very proud of the performance, very proud of how it all set up. And even though we lost, I thought it was, to go out second in the Premier League as for 1-0 down, that's, pat on the back.
Massively happy, massively proud. The one thing, I'd rather exactly what happened than get a 1-1 draw and go back and play an extra game, because our legs don't need an extra game right now. They do not. So looking at it overall, tactically decent, effort-wise decent, display, everything decent. There's nothing that came out of that game that disappointed me. So really proud of the boys. Mega happy with that. I was saying on this show, and I was asking the legends on Friday and Andy Campbell on the Red on his show on a Thursday night, and I was saying, isn't this a game we could do without? Shouldn't we just throw it away? There was no sign we threw it away. We held our heads up high, and it was a wickedly deflected goal right at the death that cost us it. So no, nothing but praise, mate. Nothing but praise.
No, did very well. Very happy with that. And yeah, look, we've got injuries returning now. I spoke in obviously in the pre-match at Six Medals, which was absolutely fantastic, hearing from the kids and the fans how optimistic they were. But there's a sense of optimism around the Boro at the moment. We've got players returning from injury. We've obviously still got Sammy Severa, Tom and Riley McGree, my best mate, away for Asian Cup. Seni Dieng, who has represented Senegal at AFCON, is actually returning. He will not be representing at AFCON, so he's on his way back to the Boro as we speak. And it's a sense of optimism for me over the next month. We can really, really turn the table here. We have got a big game, obviously, against Chelsea, but then off to Millwall, where we've got the signing of Finn Azaz, who is the second most creative midfielder in the championship this season. He's signed on a 4-year deal. We've got players like Hayden Hackney coming back into our team, who captained the squad on the weekend. Johnny Howson obviously getting a well-deserved rest, been in fantastic form. Joshy Coburn and Latte Lath returning. Matty Crooks to mention, not alone what Boro recruitment team, who have been absolutely firing, can do over the next few days or so. So I, for one, have to say, hand on my heart, I am so excited about our club right now, the way we're moving, the way we're recruiting, everything that's not happening off the pitch as well. I'm very proud of the Boro, and I know we lost 1-0 out of the FA Cup, but my goodness me, you'd trade that in any day of the week to be in a semi-final against Chelsea, 2 legs, Carabao Cup, bring it on. What a time to be a Boro fan. What a time to be part of this fantastic club. That's all I've got to say on the matter.
I mean, I had to rely on some of the highlights, Rye, so I confess I didn't see the whole game. But what impressed me was that sort of stoic defending, and you really, I think you limited Villa quite. Look, put it this way, Villa are a lot more potent than what Chelsea are this season. Okay, now I honestly think a similar performance like that in the first leg, you could actually be taking a lead, and I think you're more than capable of doing it. You talk about Coburn, I like him, and I joke about him rolling the floor, with these amateur dramatics in the derbish, but I do like him as a player, and I think he can sneak a goal against Chelsea. I think you can actually keep them at bay, mate. You actually in with a golden opportunity to take a lead into the second leg of a semi-final, and it's difficult for me to say that because I like to give Boro all the grief I can, but it's a golden opportunity, and I was really impressed, mate. I've got to say, really impressed. No disgrace getting beat 1-0 off Villa.
No, I completely agree. Second in the Premier League, and look, I'm just so proud of the lads and how they performed on the weekend. Tom Glover, my goodness me. I mean, I love Riley McGree, but I tell you what, Tom Glover, you and I could have a secret holiday rendezvous, without Riley knowing, because it was that performance. That was really, it was impressive, mate. That was very, very impressive, and what a way to stake your claim and show the Middlesbrough fans who have been on your back. And I've defended in DMs and all over for Yonks. Everyone's saying his distribution wasn't good enough and blah 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 blah. Right, and I was saying, ever the optimist, saying, don't you worry, Tom Glover is a great keeper, and my goodness, what a way to show it on the main stage in front of a live audience against Aston Villa. Incredible, and Matt Clark and everyone out there, Hayden Hackney leading our club, one of our own, first time he wore the captain's armband. It was just everything personified for the Boro on the weekend, and albeit the result, that was the only thing that we probably, would have loved to have gone the other way, but you can't. Football gods. It was going for a draw. It was going to be a replay, and it took a freak deflection from a Matty Cash flow in to actually beat Tom Glover, who literally got his fingertips to it as well, which he had no right to do on a freak deflection. So proud of the lads, proud of the effort, proud of my club. On to Chelsea, where I'm just so excited because we're just up for it. You can just tell it's just bleeding in our hearts at the moment how much this club is up for that fight, and the signing in Finn Azaz as well. Well done recruitment. I'm just, as I said, I sit back, proud Boro as ever. Yeah, very, very, very excited.
The thing that really pleases me, and this is going to sound like a dig at Sunderland and Ted, I really don't. Well, all right, then I do. No, I don't, mate.
I'm watching Jimmy Coppers. No, but I'm watching Jimmy Coppers.
Oh, is he hot
right now?
Is Coppers' keyboard hot?
Oh, it's red hot, mate. There's steam.
I love how he
doesn't
trust. I love how he doesn't trust the Northeast Footy breakfast show as a reliable source. I'm told that.
I've been told.
Yeah, I'm told.
I love it, yep. Jimmy Coppers, mate.
Doesn't trace his best mate Wraithy.
Yeah, no, that's it. Obviously, Coppers and Wraithy, they'll be having beers together next.
Be a podcast soon.
The one thing,
free beers at Sunderland.
Nice dig. No, the one thing that really pleased me about this game is we didn't sit back defending nil like it looked like Sunderland. I mean, Sunderland you sat back really deep, Ted. I mean, really, really deep. It was like give Newcastle the ball and let them come at us. And okay, that's a tactic. You can employ that, absolutely. But the Boro had a go at Villa as well. Yes, there were large periods of the game when you'd expect a team who were in form, second in the Premier League, will dominate. And yes, that happened. But Boro are happy to get the ball and have a go and try and create problems for them as well. Now, it may have just been the way that the two games panned out, but there was no real. Yes, there was defending, but it wasn't a defensive mentality with the Boro. They got the ball, they liked to play it around, played it into space. That usual fast foot, knocking the ball around from the Boro that you see in the Championship. They did it against Villa, and that pleased me. So yeah,
one shot on target.
Happy. One shot on target. Well, that shows you what the quality of the opposition was like, just like Sunderland had. But certainly more possession in midfield and in the final third for the Boro as well.
No, it was more than The shots we created were fantastic. It was due to Konza getting in the way, but we had Morgan Rogers that could have scored. We had inches away from Joshy Coburn. The balls into the box were inches away from being scored. Now, they won't go down as shots on target, but the chances we created against the team that's second in the Premier League, you throw the stats out the window, because that was one of the best Borough performances against a Premier League outfit that I've seen in a long time. We played for the badge, we played for the club in an atmosphere that was absolutely stellar. So, throw the stats out the window. It doesn't mean anything. We pushed a top quality Premier League outfit almost at full strength. And I will say almost, because it was Diaby and Watkins who did come on because Emery was worried.
Charge the light brigade at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah. He made 4 substitutions at once in a FIFA 98 panic move, and he still only beat us 1-0. So, yeah, very proud. Very proud.
That's it. That killed the show.
We missed it though, didn't we? We missed it. We had the Wraithies rant and Teddy's meltdown.
I
so
said
we missed
nothing.
The sports headlines.
I was looking at 8:30 thinking we better get in with the sports headlines. And seeing as though it's Ted's show, but you completely took over as usual. He just decided to stay silent as well.
He did. He didn't say anything, so I jumped in.
Okay. Fellas,
should we have some sports headlines?
Of course we can, Ted. I'd love to deliver for you, mate.
Together across the Northeast.
The Tune, the Cat, and the Red.
What?
The last time.
Mutiny.
Fans are riding.
Mutiny.
Or maybe it's not the last.
It's the good ship bounty. Good ship bounty.
They want it back.
Mutiny.
Radio Dad.
Let's... Shut up. What the fuck? We'll scoot through this one because obviously we want to get back to Bargate 2, the sequel.
We've had rewrites.
As exclusively broken right here on the Northeast Footy Breakfast, courtesy of our Steve. Free beer being given out to the Geordies at the end of the Sunderland-Newcastle match.
Let's get deeper into it.
Yeah, we'll get back to that one.
Let's get eyewitness reports. Eyewitness reports, no less.
Well,
apparently the lager wasn't very tasty.
Just giving us a load of cans, like.
I was going to say. Apparently the lager wasn't very good, and apparently it was Geordie boys taking their.
Okay.
Hit the button.
Oh. Anyway, right. So, what the fact? Perhaps the last one ever. So. We have a fact, we have 4 clues. I'm going to give you the first 2 that I've already given out, and we're going to go for number 3 as well. So, first clue, money talks and finally ends the jinx. Then clue number 2 was, that's the thing with cup games, there's always a hero and a villain. The third clue, which may be a red herring, when it last happened, Deadpool was in the cinema, not in the boardroom.
Oh, here we go. Something to do with Wrexham?
Might be a red herring. When it last happened, Deadpool was in the cinema.
What chance do you stand when he can throw red herrings in? It's like the answer's Mario Balotelli, where he'll he'll throw a clue in saying, think Middlesbrough Football Club and the Riverside Stadium, and the answer's Mario Balotelli. We've got no chance.
And exactly. And that's why Radio Dad has canned it. That's why he's canned it right there.
Because he can't win.
Good call, Radio Dad. I stand with you in the boardroom meetings.
Excellent.
Good call.
All those in favour, raise your hands. I can only see one hand in the air. It's unanimous. There you go.
This is a dictatorship.
It's mutiny. That's what it is. It's mutiny.
Tell you what, Ted,
mate,
come with me. You can have a free pint.
Oh man,
dear.
I wish I'd called in sick.
Oh no.
Well, there's also we've got to spend the rest of the show talking about Beergate.
Bargate.
Yeah. What are they
Not
called?
the seaside
POS
town.
machines and all that sort of. But there's one thing we must do before that.
Oh my God, yes.
Yes. The weigh-in.
Dave's gone gangster, innit?
Wait.
£1 at a time. So
I really want to hear Dave do a rap. I don't know why, but I think I'd both
you
cringe
don't,
and love it.
mate. You don't want to hear me do a rap. I'm telling you, it's as bad as Bruce Grobbler. Okay, well, I'll see if the creative juices will allow me to do something, mate. But don't hold your hopes pretty high. So where are we with the old weight? We've swapped photographs of the scales this morning. It is the Fat Club, the North East Footy Fat Club, because we did lead ourselves through many excesses, didn't we, boys?
Yes.
Nope.
I actually had a really heavy weekend for it as well, because I had a couple of pints while we did the live commentary on Saturday. I stayed at the pub for a little while longer, chatting to. Yes, paid for. Yeah, that's incredible. Right? That's incredible, isn't it? I had to work and pay for my own beer as a Sunderland fan, and the Geordies are getting it for nout. Thanks for pointing that out, Ryan. That hasn't upset
You're
me
welcome.
in the slightest. But
I
yes,
got
so
you.
I stayed for a couple after, and then me and Mrs. Ted, we ended up getting a pizza as well. So it wasn't,
Yes.
wasn't a
Well,
good weekend.
look,
then we had a carvery yesterday.
I've got my excuses as well. It was my brother-in-law Danny's birthday, so we were out at the weekend.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Dan. And shall we say the garlic breads for starters and everything else that then followed were quite enjoyable. But it did take a few numbers off the scales, I've got to be honest. In terms of loss.
I did well. I got back into the gym last week. I was proud of it, actually, so I kicked straight in. We've got a massive couple of weeks happening here. It's because we're moving house, so I have to get it in now because I'm worried that it's going to be lots of pizzas and takeaways while we've literally got no kitchen set up. So I'm
starving himself
trying to drop it off
completely.
as much as I can. Yeah, I am. Ted spoke about fasting for a day. I've been fasting for a week, so I'll start off, lads. I've come down from 103.9 kegs, and I am now happily. What was it?
102.1, mate. Yes.
102.1.
Excellent.
Yep,
hang on. I've got to find Daz's applause. Open Chrome.
Yeah.
I didn't open Chrome.
So I was proud of that. I tell you what, I had a few drinks that I actually paid for. Over the Christmas holiday period, and I tell you what, as soon as you cut them out, I tell you it does seem to makes a big difference, doesn't it? Getting off
Jesus,
that.
my toes are hairy.
Wow.
What?
Okay, that's not something the listeners needed to hear.
My toes are seriously hairy. Honestly, it's got a side
a little
part.
bit random, isn't it? Yes.
Wow.
I've
Okay,
just looked at the
that's
picture there. Anyway, there you go.
insight into Ted's bathroom there and what's going down. But I'm happy with
your
that.
picture wasn't exactly nice, was it?
Look at mine. Mine was perfect. No, it wasn't. It was pretty bad. I was like he's
We
wearing
just got
shorts.
a horrible shot of your
Such was
gusset.
the reflection. Didn't realise how bad the reflection was off my scales. So I was lucky. I was wearing shorts.
And also lucky that you sent that to the WhatsApp group that we don't really talk about, rather than putting it out publicly. Yeah, good man.
Yes,
exactly.
Yes, indeed.
So
Indeed.
okay. So where are we at then, Tedrick?
Surprisingly, and I actually expected no loss whatsoever, especially after that heavy weekend. But all in all, I've actually lost 1.2 kilograms, so I'm down to 108.8.
Look at you,
Teddy Mackems, eh? Proud of you, mate.
No more
Good
free
show.
beer for me, though. That's it. I'm off the beer now for the rest of the month. That's it.
Okay.
The next pint I have actually will probably be with Steve when we go out for a pizza.
Yeah.
Aw.
And Dave, of course, he can come if he reinstates.
Well, I was.
It depends.
I was 95.5, which is my heaviest ever. I went for it, boys. I went for it, and even with Saturday's excesses, I'm reporting in this morning with proof of 92.9. That's 2.6 keg less.
Yes,
Very
Get
good.
in.
that's the biggest weight loss.
Get
Well
in,
done, mate. Well
get
done,
in. I think
Davey,
it's-
lad.
I think-
that takes some doing, especially when you're lighter as well than me
Yeah,
and Rye.
exactly,
That takes
yeah.
some doing getting that. But I did notice that Radio Mam or Mrs. Dave, I don't know which should we call her Radio Mam? It
Radio
feels like
Mam.
we should.
Oh, heck.
She was coming in with
Yeah,
some snacks during the live broadcast, but they were healthy ones, and I was quite impressed with that.
Yeah,
She
well,
looks
it's
after me.
brought him a coffee as well.
She did.
Yeah,
She looks
yeah,
after
they
me.
were.
I know.
Yep.
I had to buy me own.
The beauty.
Meanwhile, me at 2 a.m. had nothing but cold,
You did
dark
absolutely
loneliness.
amazing, by the way. I know I give you grief, and I like to pick on you, and we have the banter. But you did absolutely amazing on Saturday, mate. Not only to give us that live commentary through the derby, but to stay on and go through the Boro game as well, mate. I absolutely take my hat off to you, because that was superhuman effort, that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was a very long night.
That's me being
I'm
nice. You
still
sound
struggling.
shocked because I'm being nice.
Yeah. No, it was thank you. I appreciate it because I'm wrecked today, I tell you. So, and we're having to get into a house move and all that by this week. So, yeah, it took a lot out of me. I did do a pull and all nighter, but it was, as I said to you, it was great to actually sit down and watch the derby. It's not something I'd normally do without being part of this show. So, to be able to watch, and what it meant, and knowing that Racy was my good mate, Racy, as I call him now. It was in the crowd, and Ted. We had Ted on the live stream as well, which was fantastic. I thoroughly enjoyed that because normally I do it by myself, but having a bit of banter and all that back and forth, and just watching Sunderland Newcastle for once, not and seeing what you guys talk about and stuff like that. So I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was a long night, but it was great to be able to do it for the stations and for everyone that tuned and listened in.
Yeah, good stuff.
Absolutely, mate.
So, on to the talking point of this morning. Free beer.
Where did you pull that?
Aren't you impressed? Aren't you impressed?
I'm very impressed with that.
I managed to open
I'm
Chrome.
going to go and shave my head and put my Dr. Martens on.
Steve says that I steal the show, but I'll tell you what, he's come in and dropped a bombshell today, hasn't he?
Hasn't he?
He has shocked the airwaves. He has sent Jimmy Coppers into a meltdown.
Yep. So he could.
Steve,
Doesn't take much.
So
if you will,
the man who is as
set the
fit as a
scene,
lop.
Steve.
He's as
Set the
fit as a
scene.
lop. He doesn't participate in silly
No.
little things like losing weight
even get
competitions. No, because he's built like Adonis, isn't he? I mean, there isn't a
He is.
picking on him.
Donna.
So,
I'm sorry, that
he-
was just in front of me, Steve. I had to do it.
but when he opened his mouth, literally 30 minutes ago, the mushroom cloud developed above
Wow.
Wearside. Come on, mate.
Jimmy Coppers.
Jimmy Coppers.
Set the scene for us, Steve.
Yeah,
Steve.
well,
Oh my God.
Steve.
Set the scene for us, Steve.
Steve.
Steve, set the scene for us. What happened?
Well, at the end of
after
the game,
match?
at the end of the game, the card machines went down. It's as simple as that. Now, the bar staff, I've got to be honest, I've been to many away grounds. That was probably the most responsible set of Newcastle fans, certainly in the lower tier where I was. There was no pint throwing, there was no kids jumping up and down going crazy, probably because they couldn't move because it was that tightly crushed and tightly packed together in there. But after the game, the upper tier was emptied first, but apparently I did hear from Newcastle fans upstairs in the upper tier that there was card failure up there as well. But the bar staff were just basically gave us the beer. Literally, they just said, well, we can't charge you because it's not cash. We'll just give you it. And we thought, it's just going to be one or two people that. But everybody who went to the bar got served. And they ran out of lager. So then they moved on to the next draft, which was dark fruits. So basically, people who don't even know what dark fruits was were
Just
coming
drinking
over
it.
with cardboard containers which hold 4 pints.
Half the
coming
Geordies
over.
don't know what fruit is.
Here it is. Here it is. Yes, some dark fruits. And there's people coming back going, it's still free, mate, it's still free. And like I said, the piece de resistance for me was I wasn't drinking. So I went over and said, well, I'll have a Diet Coke. And she went, oh, but one of the lasses went, we can't do that. We can't do that, She says, I went, all right. I said, I don't drink, Pet. I said, that's all. She went, go on, just have it. So I got a nice bottle and I said, well, can I have one for me mate as well? So I got 2 bottles of Diet Coke and that was it. Off I went with me Diet Coke. I think there was a few pies handed out as well, because I mean they were just going to chuck them away, weren't they? But yeah, it was free drink, and it was only because the card machines went down. But it was a nice gesture on behalf of Sunderland. I thought just a nice way to round off the day.
Ted's picking himself up off the floor.
He's so professional and nice the way he puts it across, but I just know there's a grin on his face as he does it.
Teddy boy. Teddy boy, free beer.
On the wind up.
Free beer. Free pies. Free decorations by their club.
It cost me €60 on Saturday to watch the match in a bar. Like, what is going on? What is going on?
Probably on a dodgy stick in Cyprus. Yeah.
No. It was all paid for.
Oh, it was all paid for. Okay.
Proper. Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay.
I think
none of that rubbish going on at the big bridge.
That is made a little bit worse just because of the lead up to the game, I would argue. I mean, I don't think, normally that would, set the scene. And we see our good mate Jimmy Copper's absolutely copping it here on social media because he's just sent out the shockwaves to Sunderland fans with that Wraith, we call it Wraith bombshell. Surely
I think we should clarify though, right? We should clarify. Steve, was this just, a couple of fans got freebies?
No, it was everybody. Basically, everybody who was, everyone who got to the bar after the initial card machine failure got drink for free. Hence the fact they ran out of lager and then started handing out the dark fruits. It was. I just thought the shutters would come down. I mean, if the card machine fails, then you would imagine they would ring the head of the operation and say, look, we can't get anything out the card machine. There must be somebody managing each bar. But it was the 2 bars we were standing next to just started giving away free beer. So somebody somewhere made the decision. I mean, look, if there's no head of head of department, if you like, standing behind the bar, there's no bar manager there to make a decision, then the people who are front line, the staff who are getting paid a pittance, no matter where no matter which club you're at, you're not going to be getting top whack, are you, for working behind the bar at the Stadium of Light or any football stadium. And a lot of these kids are exactly that, youngsters. And you're faced with, thousands of, let's say hundreds of, football fans from your biggest rival standing in front of you, wanting a drink, but through no fault of their own, they can't get one because, your club's machines aren't working. Then they're just going to say, well, I've got to make a decision here. It's either this or we're going to have trouble. So I'm going to hand out the beer. Maybe that's what they're told. Maybe that's, but ultimately, that was the situation that these youngsters faced. There didn't seem to be anybody in charge. There didn't seem to be anybody responsible. They were making decisions on their own. So, I would just say that, fair play to them, because they probably made the right decision, because there are people, in all walks of life who can be a bit aerated and get out of control after they've had a few drinks. And, that wouldn't have been a nice situation, would it? There would have been people probably, taking the law into their own hands. You can't predict what can happen in a situation like that when alcohol's involved. So fair play to them. I know it's not the perfect end, to this Derby Day story that we've created.
You think?
But yeah, I mean, look, it is what it is, and I mean it's just another failing on behalf of Sunderland Football Club, really.
So they drank the lager dry. Did they drink the dark fruits dry, or?
Yeah. I mean, that was literally. I mean, we were last out the ground, so the bar. They're saying they shut the bars, but they didn't shut the bars. We were the last people out of that ground, physically the last people out of that ground, and the bars were still open, still serving as we left.
Serving, I love the word.
And is it true that Kirill Louis Dreyfus was in there having a pint with you as well, Steve?
No, I do know from one of my connections though that he did stay back, and there was a post-mortem as to what had happened with regards to the whole fallout that they experienced over the Black Cats bar. I do know that much. I do know that they stayed late, and everybody was called in for a particular meeting. So that would be that's no surprise to me. I think he would probably want to know who'd been thrown under the bus. I think that's. I think it's as simple as that.
Someone got sacked.
Well, he got thrown under the bus, didn't he? Because he came out and said he knew nothing about it. That's just the way it is.
The thing is, if they do sort of make a decision along those lines, I'll bet you any amount you want, it'll be a no-name who gets the push for something like that. You know, you've got to look at... Steve Davison is a very well-known commercial director. He's got an awful lot of commercial nous. But things like this come down to him. This is his team. Commercial department are the bits that bring in the money for the club. Now, whether it's hospitality, whether it's sponsorship and things like that, ultimately, somebody in that commercial team, high up, has got to look at this and go, I haven't got control over this. And if you haven't got control of a situation like that, get control over it. I've worked in sports stadium myself in the past. I spent a couple of years working at Sedgefield Racecourse. All right, it's a smaller venue, it's all that kind of thing. But you at least had to know what was going on at any one time, whether there's a problem in the bar, whether there's a problem with a sponsor. You take ownership of situations. You don't just try and bluff it and hope that nobody finds out. Because guess what, Sunderland AFC? We found out again. And you're absolutely running this club like a set of clowns and making the fans look even worse.
Yeah, Davey.
All right. Stunned. Shocked.
Well on the weekend, I thought.
It's nice to smoke that big fat cigar in the armchair, relaxed, isn't it? Being a Boro fan at the moment, because you've not got any of this madness going
Steve
on.
Mentioned earlier.
I mean, that
was the only disappointment. We didn't get a cigar on the way out.
I'll only apologise on behalf of the club, Steve.
Yeah.
Would you like clue number 4 and get the hell off this awful subject?
It's maybe the last one, but the fans are writing.
Mutiny.
So your
Mutiny.
final clue of potentially the last what the fact.
We're not too sure.
We had Money Talks and finally ends the jinx. Then we had That's the Thing with Cup Games, there's always a hero and a villain. Then we had When It Last Happened, Deadpool was in the cinema and not in the boardroom. And then finally, Nice House, Shame About the Town. Nice House, Shame About the Town.
He's having a go at Middlesbrough, isn't he, on this one?
Yeah. See, I don't know. There's red herrings all over it. Do you know what I mean? I thought it was Wrexham for the last one, but now I don't know.
Once I give you the answer, you'll see how this links together beautifully and seamlessly.
Nah. What the fact's never beautiful and seamless.
This is beautifully stitched together. It's woven like a fantastic flag display.
Woven together like free beer at a football ground.
Has anyone actually WhatsApped in over this? Daniil's very quiet.
No, just the one earlier from Jack saying it's got to be Mario Balotelli.
Have any of you got any
I stick with that.
over what we've got?
Nice House, Shame About the Town. He's having a pop at Middlesbrough, definitely. Because that's the sort of guy he is.
Nice House, Shame About the Town. And then the last one was about Deadpool.
When It Last Happened, Deadpool was in the cinema and not in the boardroom.
Yeah. I mean, when did Deadpool 1 come out?
I'll give you a helping hand. Yeah, exactly. Think about
2016.
When Deadpool
2016.
came out. Yeah, exactly.
So 2016, Deadpool 1 came out. It's something to do with a derby in 2016.
Is it?
Money talks, so there must be a big name signing that changed the outcome of the game. Got to be.
Money
Talks as well, a villain. Good morning, gents, by the way.
Dazzy boy.
Good
morning, mate.
Good morning, Daz.
I guess you haven't had much to talk about this morning.
No,
Nah, it's been quite a show, mate.
Yeah.
2 hours of what the fact.
We've got to ask for you to get some more jingles, mate. We had too much radio silence, to be honest with you. 2016.
So Daz, you came in and said something there. What was it?
Yeah, it was. You mentioned a villain in there, so something to do with Aston Villa.
Okay, Daz is starting to get along the right lines.
What was that clue again about the villain?
That's the thing with cup games. There's always a hero and a villain.
Was it something to do with Derby County instead of a derby as well?
Money talks and finally ends the jinx. That's the thing with cup games. There's always a hero and a villain. When it last happened, Deadpool was in the cinema and not in the boardroom. We already know now that's 2016. And the final clue was nice house, shame about the town.
Jeez.
When did Doug Ellis sell Villa?
Don't know.
No idea.
Well, I think it was before then.
You know what I was thinking as well? When was that whole Mal Morris selling, Derby Stadium? Remember all that? And he did it dodgily.
That was after 2016.
Was that 2016?
It was after that, wasn't it?
Was it?
It's a good
Okay.
one, this, mate. It's a good one.
Maybe one worth holding over till tomorrow.
It's just.
Oh, it's a rollover.
It's not a rollover.
There's a reprieve. It's like having your head under the guillotine and a bit of paper coming in saying you can't execute the guy. You can't execute.
Not a chance of we letting that roll over.
I love
to give
that.
you not a chance to Google
It's
it.
What the Fact Week now.
Google
What
it,
the
have you
Fact
heard him?
Week. Yes, What the Fact Week.
Just
Love
because
it.
he does it.
Do you want the answer?
Do we want
Yeah.
Do we want the answer, lads? I mean, we can say
Hang
no,
on.
can't we?
Not really.
Derby County,
Your
Aston
station.
Villa, 2016. I don't know. Yeah, nah, go on.
Has Derby
I've got
County
nothing.
got anything to do with it?
House. Fulham. Could it be Fulham? House.
No.
Go on, Ted. Give us the
Corner.
answer. I've got
Go
something
on.
to share with
Put
you.
us out of
before
our
we finish.
misery.
Go on then.
So, Matty Cash hit a late win at Middlesbrough, giving Aston Villa their first win in the FA Cup for 8 years.
Since
The 8 seasons, yeah.
2016.
So, money talks, that was
yeah.
Cash. Finally ends the jinx.
Yeah.
That's the thing with Cup games, a hero and a villain. So, obviously, Matty Cash was the hero and also a villain. And when it last happened, we already know that, 2016. Nice house of Villa, shame about the town. Birmingham, bit of a crap hole in it.
I've just had a message from Ronaldo, who was also at the match in the away end. He says, ran out of free lager after a while, so then it was free dark fruits for us, vodka, wine and whiskey. Very accommodating of them.
No.
And just a shout out to Newcastle United's website, who've done a match report, but the eagle-eyed readers of Newcastle's official website will realise that they started the first paragraph with Saturday, the second paragraph with Moore, the third paragraph with Ballard, the fourth paragraph with Ultimately, the next paragraph with Trippier, the next one with Maybe, the next one with Half, the next one with Wearing, the next one with Then, and the next one with Later. So those eagle-eyed viewers who spotted that it spells out SMB, up the mags, away the lads, will say that somebody spent a lot of time doing that report just to finish the derby off.
Highly unprofessional.
That is very clever.
Highly unprofessional, I love it.
It's badly worded.
Ted, it's gone from beers to spirits now as well. It gets worse. This is going to be a bombshell.
I am copying
free
Jimmy
vodka.
Coppers in on this. I'm copying Jimmy
Yeah,
Coppers.
please do. Please do, because he's already toned down his first post.
Yeah.
Daz,
Well,
what's coming up on your show? Because you're going to have to relate to this bombshell.
Absolutely. Coming up this morning, we've got a category, a really interesting category this morning, and we've got the quiz that is sweeping the nation. It's Name That Theme this morning with a very special one. So, it's the usual nonsense coming up on the show.
Cracking.
Does Radio Dad give you free beer and vodka in the studio?
No, there's no free beer, no free drinks here.
Free
today.
coffee, free biscuits.
Free
there is,
coffee, free biscuits.
Daz,
Okay.
Yes,
Daz,
Ted.
before we go, have you had the Katie Price show yet?
Yes, it went out on Friday, yeah.
Oh,
Or
I was
Thursday.
trying to keep abreast of that.
Yeah.
Boom. Fellas, thank you. News time. Catch you tomorrow.
See you, lads.
See you tomorrow.
Have a good day.
Bye.
From Yarm to Yibby, Harrington to Horsley Hill, Swalwell to Silverlink. The North East Footy Breakfast with Roy, Steve and Ted.
Right across the northeast, the red, the tune and the